The girl with cracked shoes, morning light slipped through the window of a small diner on the edge of the city. The neon sign outside flickered weakly, spelling Rosie's Grill in tired pink. Inside, the smell of burnt toast and brewed coffee filled the air. Old booths lined the walls. Cracked leather seats, scratched tables. Nothing here looked new. Everything had a story. Behind the counter, 17-year-old Emma moved quickly between orders. She wore a faded blue apron, tied tightly around her waist. Her shoes had tiny holes near the toes. Her name tag was crooked, but her eyes were wide, full of light. Her hands moved fast, but her heart moved slow. She paid attention to details, to people. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a listener, a watcher. She saw when an old man blinked, longer than usual because he missed his wife. She saw when a tired mother needed 5 extra minutes of quiet before facing the world again. She saw pain, even in smiles. Emma had been working at Rosie's Grill since she was 15. It was the only job she could get while still going to high school. Her mother had been sick for 2 years. Her father had left long before that. Most nights, Emma came home and placed her tips in a glass jar marked Mom's Medicine. The jar was never full. But she still believed. On that particular morning, something strange happened. A man walked in through the front door just after the breakfast rush. He wore a simple black jacket, jeans, and sunglasses. His hair was slightly messy, like he hadn't tried too hard. He didn't walk like he wanted attention. He moved like someone used to being invisible, but never truly was. Emma noticed him because of one small thing. He held the door open for an older woman who entered behind him. He waited until she passed, then gave her a small smile before walking to the farthest booth in the corner. Emma walked over with a notepad. "Good morning," she said kindly. "Coffee?" The man smiled. "Yes, please." His voice was soft, low. Something about it felt familiar, but she didn't place it. "Anything to eat?" she asked. "Just pancakes," he said. "Plain, with syrup on the side." She nodded and walked back to the kitchen. Emma didn't know who he was, not yet, but something about him stayed in her mind. His stillness, his quiet way, his eyes that looked both tired and kind at the same time. 15 minutes later, she brought him the plate. "Thank you," he said. Emma smiled and said, "Enjoy." She returned to the counter but noticed he didn't take out his phone. He didn't scroll, didn't call, didn't take selfies. He just stared out the window at the street. 20 minutes later, he finished, placed a $20 bill under the plate, and walked out. Emma went to clean the table and saw the money. But next to it, under the booth cushion, something else caught her eye. A black wallet. Simple, clean, no brand name on it. Her heart skipped. She picked it up and opened the flap to see if there was an ID. But just as she touched the corner, she stopped. She held it in her hands and stared at it. Then she closed it. She didn't look inside. She placed it in the drawer behind the counter. "Maybe he'll come back," she whispered to herself. An hour passed. Then lunch rush came. Orders flew in. Burgers, fries, milkshakes. Emma kept watching the door. Finally, near 2 p.m., the man returned. He walked in with urgency in his steps. Emma met him halfway. "Looking for this?" she asked, holding out the wallet. His shoulders dropped. A wave of relief washed over his face. "Yes," he said, almost breathless. "I didn't even realize until I got back to my hotel." "You left it in the booth," Emma said. He opened it, checked the contents quickly, then looked at her with disbelief. "You didn't look inside?" he asked. She shook her head. "It wasn't mine." He stared at her, quiet for a long second. Then, gently, he said, "Thank you." She nodded. "Have a nice day." He reached into the wallet and pulled out a bill. "No," she said quickly. "I didn't do it for money." He paused, then placed the bill on the counter anyway. "I know. That's why you deserve it." Then he left. Emma didn't touch the bill until the end of her shift. When she unfolded it, her hands trembled. It wasn't $20. It was $500, folded neatly. Clean and new. She almost cried. But that wasn't the end. The next morning, something even stranger happened. A black car pulled up outside Rosie's grill. The kind of car you don't see in neighborhoods like this. The kind that's always driven by someone else. A man in a suit stepped out, walked into the diner, and asked, "Is Emma working today?" She froze behind the counter. "Yes?" She answered carefully. The man smiled. "He'd like to see you." "Who?" But before he answered, the back door opened. And the man from yesterday walked in. Only this time, the sunglasses were off. Emma gasped. Because now she saw it clearly. His face. His voice. His story. It was Keanu Reeves. Right there, standing in her diner. And nothing, absolutely nothing, was going to be the same again. Asterisk. The visit that changed everything. Bing stood frozen behind the counter. The smell of fried eggs and toast filled the air, but she didn't notice. Her heart beat like a drum in her chest. Her fingers trembled slightly on the surface of the register. Keanu Reeves was standing just a few steps away from her, not as an actor in a movie, not on a screen. But in real life, and he was smiling at her. "Hi again," he said gently, voice low and calm. "I didn't get the chance to say a proper thank you." Emma opened her mouth, but no words came out. She felt heat rise to her cheeks. Customers looked on from their tables, some whispering, others squinting to make sure they were seeing what they thought they were seeing. "It's really you," she finally said, barely above a whisper. Keanu chuckled softly. "Yes. And you're really the kind waitress who returned my wallet without even peeking inside. That's rare." Emma shook her head. "I just did what anyone should have done." Keanu tilted his head. "I don't think that's true. But I think you did it because of who you are." Emma didn't know what to say. Behind her, Rosie, the owner of the diner, peeked through the kitchen window, her eyes wide with shock. She quickly wiped her hands on her apron and came out, greeting Keanu with a nervous smile. "Sir, it's an honor." "We didn't expect." Keanu held up a hand kindly. "I'm just here to talk to Emma." "No big scene." Rosie nodded quickly and whispered to Emma, "Take your break, now." Emma stepped around the counter, and Keanu held the door open for her. The two walked outside. The black car was still parked at the curb, its engine gently humming. They didn't go far. Just stood near the corner of the building where the morning sun lit the sidewalk. "You didn't just return my wallet," Keanu said. "You reminded me of something I needed to remember." Emma looked at him. "What do you mean?" He paused, searching for the right words. "I've been surrounded by money, fame, cameras, people wanting something from me. And sometimes I forget what simple, honest goodness looks like. Yesterday, you showed me." Emma glanced down at her shoes, the ones with tiny holes near the toes. "I don't think I did anything special," she said. "That's what makes it special," Keanu replied. There was silence between them for a moment. Soft, easy. Then he asked, "Do you like working here?" Emma shrugged. "It's honest work. It helps pay the bills." "School? I go after shifts, online classes. I want to study literature, maybe teach." Keanu nodded thoughtfully. "Do you write?" "Sometimes," Emma said, surprised. He asked, "Poems, stories, nothing serious." Keanu smiled. "You ever thought about writing for film?" Emma laughed. "Me, no. I don't know anyone in that world." "You do now," he said. Emma blinked. "Listen," Keanu continued. "I'm not here to make promises, but I'm working on a small project, a short film, something personal. And I need someone who can write with heart, someone who sees people." "You do." Emma was speechless. "I'm not offering a job," he said gently. "Not yet, but I want you to send me something. Anything, a story, a poem. Your voice matters." He pulled a card from his pocket and handed it to her. It had no fancy logos, just a name, a number, and an email address. Emma took it with trembling hands. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Just say yes." Keanu replied. She nodded. As they turned to walk back toward the diner, Emma asked, "Why me? There are so many writers in the world." Keanu looked at her with kindness in his eyes. "Because you returned a wallet without looking inside," he said. "And in this world, that's more rare than talent." They reached the door again. Keanu smiled and said, "I'll be in touch." Then he walked back to the black car and got in. Emma watched it pull away until it disappeared down the street. She walked back inside, holding the card tightly like it was made of gold. Everyone stared at her. Rosie came up behind her and asked in a whisper, "What did he want?" Emma just smiled. He wanted a story. The rest of the day felt unreal. Emma finished her shift in a dreamlike state. Customers kept asking her what Keanu had said. She gave polite answers, but kept the truth close to her heart. Some things weren't meant to be told right away. When her shift ended, she walked home quietly, holding the card tightly in her coat pocket. Their apartment was small, just 2 rooms, but warm. Her mom was asleep on the couch, a blanket tucked around her frail frame. Emma went to her bedroom, pulled out her old notebook, and began to write. She wrote about the diner. About her mom. About cracked shoes and unopened wallets. About kindness and quiet courage. She didn't stop until the moon was high in the sky. And when she was done, she typed the story, attached it to an email, and sent it to the address on the card. Subject line: "You asked for a story." Emma clicked send. And then she waited. The email that didn't bounce back for the first 3 days. Emma checked her email more times than she would ever admit. Each morning, after she packed her apron and kissed her mom's forehead goodbye, she would walk to work with one eye on the screen of her old phone, refreshing again and again. Nothing. By the 4th day, she tried to forget about it. Maybe he was just being kind, she whispered to herself. Maybe he gave that card out 100 times. But no matter how she tried to silence the thought, a small voice deep inside her refused to give up. On the 5th morning, she arrived at Rosie's Grill just before sunrise. The sky was still purple. A soft mist floated across the sidewalk. She unlocked the back door and stepped into the silence of the kitchen. And then her phone buzzed. Just once. A new email. Her heart skipped. She opened it with shaking fingers. From KR Productions at private-mail.com. Subject: "Your story made me cry." Emma's eyes filled with tears before she even read the body. "Emma, I read your story 3 times. The way you described the sound of the diner, the way your mother breathes in her sleep, the color of your apron string, all of it stayed with me. I shared it with a producer friend. She cried too. We want to meet you. Not for a job interview, not for a test, just to talk. Can you come to La this weekend? My team will cover your flight and hotel. If not, we'll find another way. Thank you for trusting me." Emma read it twice, then a 3rd time. Then she fell to her knees and cried, not from shock. But from the feeling of finally being seen. That evening, she told her mom. They sat together at their small table in the dim kitchen. A single candle flickered between them. "He wants to fly me out," Emma said softly. "Just to talk." Her mom's eyes were tired, but her smile was bright. "You should go. But what if it's too much? What if it changes everything?" Her mother took her hand, then let it. "Maybe you've been carrying everything for too long. Maybe it's time someone else lifts something for you." On Saturday morning, a car arrived in front of their apartment. Emma wore her cleanest jeans, a soft white sweater, and a nervous heart. She carried a small backpack with 1 change of clothes, her notebook, and a photo of her mother tucked inside. At the airport, she was met by a kind woman named Camilla who guided her through every step. "Keanu wanted you to feel safe," Camilla said. "No pressure, just people who believe in your voice." The flight to Los Angeles was quiet. Emma watched the clouds move past and kept thinking, this is real. This is actually real. When she landed, another driver greeted her with a warm drink and drove her to a quiet hotel near Venice Beach. Her room smelled like fresh linen. It had soft pillows, warm lights, and a view of the ocean. She stood by the window for a long time, just listening to the waves crash. On the small table by the bed was an envelope with her name on it. Inside was a note. Welcome to the coast, Emma. If you like coffee, meet me at the Boardwalk Cafe at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be the guy in the hoodie. Emma smiled. She didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, she walked along the beach toward the cafe. The breeze smelled of salt. People jogged past her. Kids laughed in the distance. It felt like walking through a movie. And there he was, sitting at a corner table, hoodie up, sipping from a paper cup. Keanu Reeves. He stood as she approached. Emma, he said warmly. You made it. She nodded. Thank you for everything. He gestured to the seat across from him. Thank you. They talked for almost 2 hours. Not about scripts or contracts, but about life, about her mother, about how grief changes people, about how sometimes it takes only one person believing in you to change your path forever. Then he asked gently, do you want to be part of this project? Emma stared at him. I don't even know what it is. It's a film, he said. About people like you. People who do good when no one is watching. We want to tell stories that feel real. Emma nodded slowly. I want to help. Then you already are. Back at her hotel room, there was another envelope waiting. This one was from the producer. Her name was Selena. Emma opened it to find a contract. Not a big one. Not flashy. But a real one. A small writing consultant role for a limited short film series. At the bottom of the letter, handwritten in ink, it read, payment starts at $3,000. This is just the beginning. Thank you for making us feel. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, holding the letter, unable to move. $3,000. It was more than she had ever seen in her life. It could pay 2 months of rent, medicine for her mother, new shoes, maybe even a class or 2 at the community college. She didn't cry this time. She just smiled. Emma stayed in Los Angeles for 3 days. On the 3rd night, she sat beside a fire pit with a small team of writers and artists. They laughed, shared stories, passed around notebooks. Keanu sat across the flames, quietly listening. At one point, someone asked her, how did you get here? And she answered, I gave a wallet back without looking inside. Everyone laughed. But Keanu didn't. He looked at her and said, and that's why this story matters. Asterisk voices behind the screen. Emma returned home. With more than just a memory, she carried belief. After her 3 days in Los Angeles, everything looked different. The same cracked sidewalk, the same chipped paint on their apartment door, the same long hallway leading to their 2nd floor home. All of it felt brighter now. Not because it had changed, but because she had. Her mom sat up when Emma opened the door. You're early, she said, surprised. Emma smiled and hugged her tightly. I wanted to bring the sunrise back with me. They sat on the couch. Emma told her about the cafe by the beach, the fire pit gathering, the way Keanu listened without interrupting. Her mom nodded quietly, eyes shining with emotion. He sounds like a good man, she whispered. He is, Emma said. Not because of who he is, but because of how he treats people. That night, after her mom went to sleep, Emma opened her laptop and started writing. She wrote about kindness. She wrote about how it feels to carry quiet burdens and still smile at strangers. She wrote about the day she first put on her cracked shoes and walked into Rosie's grill, thinking no one would ever notice her. By sunrise, she had written 7 pages. And she sent them to Selena with a single line. If this helps one person believe in themselves, then it's enough. Within hours, Selena replied. This is more than enough. We want to feature your voice in the first episode. Not just your words, your story. Are you ready? Emma read the message 3 times before replying. Yes. Over the next 2 weeks, the project moved fast. Emma recorded voiceovers for a short docu-style video about small acts of kindness. She didn't appear on camera, but her words filled the screen, layered over footage of everyday people doing beautiful things. A boy helping a stranger across the street. Woman giving her shoes to someone barefoot. A teenage cashier covering the cost of a single mother's groceries. Emma's voice narrated the moments with a calm strength. Sometimes, the biggest difference you'll ever make comes from doing the right thing when no one is watching. The final scene showed a quiet reenactment. A waitress picking up a forgotten wallet. Pausing. Closing it without looking inside. Smiling softly. Emma watched the early cut and cried. It was her life, turned into something that might heal someone else. Keanu called her one afternoon. He didn't use an assistant. No manager. Just him, Emma, he said. The video goes live tomorrow. It's only 4 minutes long, but I think it's going to matter. Thank you, she replied, voice shaking, for everything. No, he said gently. Thank you. I've done 100 films, but this might be my favorite story. Emma laughed softly. It started with pancakes, and it's ending with purpose. The next day, the video was posted to a new YouTube channel created for the project. It was called Real Light, a place dedicated to sharing true stories of unnoticed kindness. Within 3 hours, the video hit 50,000 views. By the end of the day, it crossed 500,000. The comments poured in. I needed this today. Thank you. Whoever wrote this has a soul made of light. I cried, I smiled, and now I want to be better. Is the waitress real? If so, I hope she knows she's amazing. Emma sat in the dark, phone in hand, scrolling through the comments with wide eyes. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. The words spoke louder than any reply could. Then something unexpected happened. A journalist from a major publication reached out to the Real Light team. He wanted to interview the voice behind the video. Selena called Emma. You don't have to say yes, she said. But people are asking. They want to know your name, your story, your truth. Emma sat with that question for a full night. She walked to the diner the next morning and stared at the booth, where it had all started. She remembered the moment she held the wallet in her hands. Remembered the choice. And then, she walked back home and emailed Selena one line. I'm ready to be seen. The article was published 2 days later. Headline: Meet the 17-year-old waitress who inspired Keanu Reeves' newest project. Emma's story was laid out honestly. Her cracked shoes, her sick mom, the lost wallet, her choice not to look inside, the black car, the meeting at the Boardwalk Cafe. The article didn't just go viral, it started a wave. People began sharing their own stories online using the hashtag #RealAct. Stories of honesty. Returning found money. Standing up for someone. Cooking meals for a neighbor. Everyday people doing quiet good. Emma watched the world shift one post at a time. Rosie Grill suddenly had new customers. People traveling hours just to eat at the place where the kindness story happened. Someone slipped Emma a note on a napkin. Thank you for reminding me to believe in people again. Keanu called again the night the article hit its peak. You okay? He asked. Emma took a deep breath. I think so. You're famous now. Not the kind of famous people dream about, she said. But the kind that makes me want to live better. Keanu chuckled. That's the best kind. Then he paused. Emma, would you be open to speaking at a small event next month? It's for students. Kids like you. They need to hear this from someone real. Emma hesitated. I've never spoken to a room before. You've already spoken to the world, Keanu said. You just didn't see their faces. Emma nodded slowly. Then yes, I'll do it. And just like that, the girl with the cracked shoes became something no one expected. A Light for others. Not a star, not a celebrity. A light, quiet, steady, true. The stage and the silent Seema stood behind the curtain of the school auditorium, her fingers curled around the edge of her notes. The room on the other side buzzed with low conversations, soft shuffles, and the occasional laugh. It was a youth leadership summit, filled with students from different schools across the city. The theme, small choices, big changes. Keanu had asked her to speak. And now, it was her turn. She wore a simple outfit, a soft yellow sweater, dark jeans, and her first new pair of shoes in years. They were clean, unscuffed, but she still missed the cracked ones. They had walked her through so much. A staff member whispered, "You're up in 30 seconds." Emma nodded. She looked down at her paper again, but the words swam. Her heart pounded. Her mouth felt dry. Then a hand touched her shoulder gently. She turned. It was Keanu. Dressed in black, quiet as ever. "Breathe," he said gently. "Don't perform. Just speak from where it hurts." Emma's eyes filled. She nodded again, then stepped onto the stage. The lights were bright. Too bright. She walked to the center and stood behind the wooden podium. The microphone picked up the sound of her breath. The audience of teenagers and teachers went quiet. Emma looked down at her notes again, then folded them and placed them to the side. She looked up. "I'm not a speaker," she said, voice trembling. "I'm a waitress, or I was." A soft chuckle from the front row. She smiled. "I work at a small diner, where the pancakes stick to the plates, and the coffee always tastes a little burnt. I've been working there since I was 15, to help my mom, to keep the lights on. And because it was the only place that would hire me without asking too many questions." Some heads nodded. Double quotes. One day, a man came in. He wore sunglasses, ordered pancakes, and said thank you like he meant it. She paused. He forgot his wallet, and I found it. The room was completely silent now. I didn't look inside. Not because I'm perfect, but because ... I knew how it felt to be looked at like you're less. She stepped away from the podium, holding the mic in her hand. And that small choice, that simple moment of doing what felt right, changed everything, because that man was Keanu Reeves. Gasps, murmurs, recognition. She nodded. And he didn't offer me money. He offered me something else. He offered me belief. He saw something in me I didn't even see in myself. Emma walked slowly across the stage, her voice growing steadier. You don't need to be rich to change someone's life. You don't need to be famous. You just need to care. And you need to choose right even when no one's looking. She stopped in the middle. I used to think I had to wait for a big moment, a big opportunity. But now I know it's the small, quiet ones that shape who we are. She pointed gently to the crowd. So here's my challenge. Next time you see someone drop something, don't step over it. Next time someone's crying alone, don't walk past. Next time you find something valuable, return it without checking the price. She smiled softly, and if no one sees it, if no one claps or says thank you. She paused. That's when it means the most. The crowd stood. Applause exploded, but Emma just bowed her head and walked off stage. Behind the curtain, Keanu was waiting. He didn't say anything. He just hugged her. And for the first time in years, she cried without shame. After the speech, her inbox flooded. Schools invited her to speak. A publishing company reached out asking if she would write a full book of her story. A scholarship foundation offered her a chance to study writing fully funded. Emma didn't rush to say yes to any of it. Instead, she spent the next week doing what she always did. She showed up at Rosie's Grill. She wiped tables. She refilled coffee. She smiled at the lonely man who always sat in booth 3. But everything felt different. Now because everything inside her had changed. Rosie pulled her aside one afternoon. You know, we've had people drive from 3 towns away just to meet you, she said, laughing. You're becoming part of diner history. Emma blushed. I just did what was right. Rosie nodded. And you reminded the rest of us to do the same. A few days later, Keanu invited her to a private dinner at a small studio space. When she arrived, she found him waiting with Selena and 2 other writers. We're building something, Selena said. Not just a film, a series, and we want you to write. Really write, Emma blinked. But I've never written for screen. Keanu smiled. Neither had I. Until someone gave me a script that changed how I saw the world. Now I'm returning the favor. Emma looked at the empty script pages on the table. Blank. Waiting. And for the first time, she didn't feel scared of them. She felt ready. That night, back home, she sat beside her mom, who was slowly recovering. Her mother touched her hand and said, "You've always had a light inside you. Now the world sees it." Emma leaned her head on her mom's shoulder. And it all started because I didn't open a wallet. Asterisk. A new beginning and a quiet goodbye. A year had passed since Emma returned the wallet. The seasons had changed. Snow came and melted. Flowers bloomed and fell. But the story of that one small moment, of choosing honesty over curiosity, continued to ripple across the world. Rosie single quotes S. Grill now had a framed newspaper clipping near the cash register. It was yellowing slightly from the sun. Above it, a small plaque read, "The choice that changed everything." Emma didn't work there anymore. Not because she didn't want to, but because life had carried her into something new. She was now part of the writing team at Real Light Productions, the storytelling group founded by Keanu and Selena. They produced short films, documentaries, and small series centered on real acts of kindness. They didn't chase views. They chased truth. Emma didn't live in Los Angeles permanently. She still stayed with her mom in their old apartment most of the time. Though a few upgrades had made it more comfortable. Now a working heater, a new couch, and a little bookshelf. Where she kept her notebooks, she still wrote at night. Always by hand. Always by heart. And the world kept listening. One morning, Keanu called her. Not as a boss. Not even as a collaborator. As a friend. "You up for something different?" he asked. "How different?" "We're visiting a high school in Northern California. It's small, underfunded. A teacher showed her students the Real Light videos and said they haven't stopped talking about them since. They think kindness is some kind of superpower now." Emma smiled. "That's because it is. I want you to come," he said. "Not as a guest, as a surprise." Emma agreed. They arrived together. The school was old, but full of life. Murals painted by students. Faded lockers. Squeaky hallways. Kids buzzing with energy. Keanu walked into the gym first. Students gasped. Phones came out. Everyone expected him to talk. But he only said a few words. "Today, I want you to hear from someone more important than me." Then he turned and gestured to Emma. She stepped forward slowly, clutching a folded piece of paper. "I'm not a celebrity," she began. "I don't have 1,000,000 followers, but I made a choice. I found a wallet. And I didn't look inside." The room went silent. And then she told them everything. The diner. Her mom. The cracked shoes. The email. The first fire pit meeting. She told them what it felt like to be invisible until one act of quiet honesty changed the course of her life. And when she finished, one girl in the front row stood up and asked through tears, "Do you ever feel scared that it might all disappear?" Emma nodded. Double quotes. "Yes," she said. "But that's why I keep giving. Because the only thing stronger than fear is kindness practiced daily." When she left the stage, dozens of students rushed to hug her. Not because she was famous, but because she made them believe they mattered. 2 weeks later, Emma got a letter in the mail. A handwritten note. No return address. Just a small envelope with soft edges. Inside was a short message. "I was the cook at Rosie's Grill. I watched you every day. The way you treated people, the way you worked. I never said it, but I want you to know you were the reason I started calling my daughter again. Thank you. Georgina held the note to her chest. It reminded her that not every impact can be seen. Sometimes, the greatest things we do happen quietly, in the corners of rooms, in the cracks of moments. On the 1-year anniversary of the wallet story, the Real Light team released a special video. It was only 5 minutes long, titled, "What Would You Do with a Stranger's Wallet?" It asked viewers to pause. To consider. To act with integrity. And at the very end of the video, a small quote appeared on screen. The measure of character is what you choose when no one's watching. Emma wrote that line. It became a tagline for the entire series. Months passed. Emma's mom fully recovered. They moved to a better apartment with a window that let in real sunlight. Keanu kept in touch regularly. Not just for work, but for friendship. Sometimes they sent each other books. Sometimes they said nothing at all, just shared quiet understanding in the silence. Emma never changed her phone wallpaper. It was still a photo of the diner, empty tables, soft light, the booth where it all began. A reminder of who she was, and who she still was. On her 21st birthday, Emma received a small package wrapped in brown paper. Inside was her old pair of shoes. Clean. Framed. With a note from Keanu. Never forget how far they took you. Emma smiled, touched the glass, and whispered, "Thank you." Not just to him. But to the moment. To the silence. To the cracked shoes and the unopened wallet. To the path that only opened once she chose to walk it with honesty. And somewhere in a diner far from the spotlight, a new waitress picked up a forgotten wallet from the corner booth. She looked at it. Paused. Then smiled and placed it in the lost and found drawer. Without looking inside.